Hello. Wanted to shoot this video to kind of show off my semi-permaculture style garden here. As you can see, it kind of wraps around the house. I got some beds out in the yard. I got some beds back there. You can hardly see, it's kind of dark. I got my little orchard going on over there. I've been working on this here and there for the past 3 or 4 years. The soil here is extremely poor, a lot of clay content. I use a lot of wood mulch to to improve the soil. You can see in one of my first main beds here, I'll just kind of zoom out so you can see this, but this is right off the back of my deck. This is where I put a lot of my greens and things. But what's interesting here is if you see all this cilantro, these big tomatoes coming up, I didn't plant any of these. They've naturalized by just letting the tomatoes and the seeds drop. Lettuce over here, I don't plant this. Growing tomatoes and in this garden really is a matter of weeding the tomatoes that I don't want. These are a little close. Sometimes I actually dig these up and move them to other areas of the garden. There's onions here. I didn't really plant these. I planted some onions year before. Some of them didn't quite mature. I just peeled those back and stuck them back in the ground, and they just regrew this year. As you can see, peas back there on the back. I just kind of throw those in the ground. The soil here has gotten so good from gradually putting wood mulch down every year, doing chop and drop with the the other plants that are growing here. You can see there's earthworms everywhere. You dig up any few inches somewhere and you're going to find some big juicy earthworms. We got carrots here. I did plant this year. You can see there's a lot of spinach growing back there. It's looking pretty good. Spinach, different breeds of spinach. I'm doing succession planting. I kind of start with radishes back there. You see radishes. It's probably about ready to come out there. And then the peas and the spinach and lettuce start growing up over the top. I really need to weed out a lot of this cilantro here. You know, I got so much saved already. I'm just throwing this on the ground at this point. I'll let 1 or 2 of these start coming up. You can see that one's going to come up. It's going to start going to seed soon. That way I can just pull it out of the ground and shake it around the garden, and then I have the same thing next year. Some of them will even start growing in the fall. You can see here's where I just took out a bunch of cilantro and tomatoes and put some fresh mulch down. Here's where I planted some Swiss chard. I cut most of it off. I did have some rabbit problems. I think they ate some of it. Fortunately, I took care of that. My handy pellet rifle. There's another bed I'm putting in some cabbage and some other greens, and see where I just letting some tomatoes creep up through. Those are ones I didn't weed. You know, some peppers, and I think that's a squash or something. Those are probably planted too close together. I think I dropped an extra seed in there or something. I just didn't weed it out. See the end here, I've got a nice little patio peach tree. You can see my my peaches coming up there. Over here I put in some other things, just Threw some peas, kind of trellis up that. I really need to get in there and weed all that probably next year, and you know, put all peas and climbing beans, cover that trellis up over there. Got some currants, right? And I got planted there. You can see I actually just put a year or two ago, this was just a big messy hill, hard to mow. Put this stone wall in here, kind of terraced it out. I had a lot of problems with water flowing down from up under the deck, flooding out this area, bringing dirt. You can see I still got some issues with dirt flowing out there. I need to probably go back there and seal up where that wall comes in, and maybe even put an additional terrace wall right through here, kind of terrace this out from this bottom area. But this ground, all this ground here was clay. I gradually over the years have improved with the mulch, you know, planting things like these carrots in the clay. You know, they'll go down and penetrate, bring up, you know, bring in earthworms. You know, the first couple years the carrots look kind of deformed. I keep planting these carrots here and they keep penetrating that clay, and you know, you keep decomposing this mulch and other droppings. And this soil here and these beds are getting really nice. Probably start planting those carrots elsewhere soon to start improving some of this other clay. This is really bad clay down here. Well, I've been planting here, see, is sweet potatoes. I planted sweet potatoes here last year. I mean, I dug them out of, they were just covered in solid clay. They went down, broke it up. Keep doing that for a few years, and then maybe get some carrots going in this area once it's at least loose enough for the carrots to somewhat produce. Big blackberry bush here. This thing produces the biggest blackberries you've ever seen. Humongous blackberries. Juicy, delicious. I've been propagating this. It's really not looking so healthy just yet now, but I've been propagating this. I'll just take a branch, bend it over, put a rock on it. Pretty soon a new blackberry will spring up out of there, and then I'll move it. You can see where I moved one over here. This one's looking a little bit better. It's growing, it's going to produce. You know, the way this blackberry is, you know, they'll have produce a cane one year with no fruit, and then, you know, then it'll fruit out that next year, and then new canes will grow. That'll fruit out the following year. You see I've got raspberries here. I planted this raspberry last year. It was one little stalk like this, and you can see where it's spreading out. Now I can take things and dig this little spread up and then propagate it to somewhere else in the garden. I've got those raspberries. I planted several last year. They've taken over a lot of areas. You can see here I've got my little semi-swale hugel mound here. The way, you know, this is catching additional water off this hill, so I have to do less irrigation. See what I've done here. Got mulch, keep mulch in this area. It was really bad. It's still starting to come in. I'll come and let lettuce go to seed and shake it in this area. And then you can see lettuce starts to propagate here. Different types of lettuces. That's going to come up looking good. Still needs a lot of work improving this soil here, but trying to keep it moist. I've got this rain barrel here catching off the roof, which it's only semi-successful. The problem is the capacity is not near large enough. You see I've got a pretty good size catchment here that's coming down. And this thing, half inch of rain, this thing fills up, but you know, I'll just open this spout here, you know, let this water drain. I put in this, you know, little dry creek bed. I get an A-frame level, measure the contour lines, and cut this dry creek bed directly on contour, or actually slightly off contour, so it flow. And then dug out this little frog pond. Right, brings a lot of habitat in there. You can see a frog jumping there, scared of walking over, gonna try to eat him or something. But then, you know, so this water, excess water, flows through here really slowly, so get a lot more absorption in the soil around here, right? Reduces irrigation needs to some of this area. Plants comes down here and then overflows, and it's kind of hard to see here, but this land kind of slowly grades this way, overflows. It's not perfect, but it does overflow, and it catches in this hill here. You can see this is a berm that I dug on contour with an A-frame level. Starting to rain on me now here. But, you know, I dug a ditch down here. I actually had some spare fallen trees from my woods out there. I put them under here in a little line. Mounted the dirt over the top, right? So those are decomposing, holding additional moisture. And then, you know, this slope and the overflow from the pond over here comes down, hits in here, and it catches right here, absorbs into the ground, right? Absorbs into the extra wood in there. They call that hugelkultur. It's kind of a small hugel bed, but then I, you know, continue to put mulch and wood chips over the top of it to, you know, improve the soil there. And I've got a variety of different perennials and annuals. You know, I'm putting in, you know, some squash and another currant, some broccoli. You can see this broccoli, or these rabbits terrorized my broccoli this year. Some more zucchini and squash. There's another big raspberry. You can see how it's just spread out, kind of taken over. I'll probably take this entire hill if I don't move them and stuff. But cabbages. Put some more lettuce in here. That way this lettuce will grow up, help shade and keep this ground cool, more moisture in while these plants are growing up. And I'll come out and clip scissors off this lettuce and make salads. You know, I eat salad every day. Healthy for you, you know. That's this bed, and then I started another. You can see I've got quite a bit of, all this property is slopes this way, quite a bit of water runoff here. I've got another little small mound that I've put in, kind of front-ending the hill on my little orchard here. You can see we've had some rain. You can see where this actually has caught all this water here. All that water is caught on the back side of this swale, which is on contour. And then I have this overflow on this side. And then I put another small little raised berm in here, right, which catches some additional water. And then eventually I'll continue to put different berms on contour using an A-frame level, so this water can spill from tree to tree, you know, to catch more and help improve these trees here. As you can see, I've got a pretty sick looking apple tree here I'm trying to nurse back to health. I got some strawberries planted. These were propagated from a different area. I've got strawberries growing quite a substantial amount on a different in a different bed. They propagate. I move them to other areas of the property. You know, some more strawberries there. Another raspberry plant taken over there. I'm gonna have to do something about all these raspberries. Some more currants. That one's not looking quite as good as the others, but lettuce, I didn't plant that. That just must have grew up from seeds blowing around the property. More strawberries. Another apple tree here, and another raspberry. I propagated this one of the other ones. Another propagated blackberry bush there that will grow out this area, start getting big, help shade the ground, you know, keep moisture in for these trees here. You know, you can see a lot of wood mulch to improve the soil. Another apple tree. Well, the storage on my iPhone, download it, clear off the phone. A little sunnier out now, you can see a little bit better. But as I was saying, this is the on the apple tree. You can see apples already coming in there. Another apple tree. There's a pear there. This is a nectarine, I believe. You see those starting to come in. That one's actually covered. We'll head on back over to these beds. Show you this is, again, this is uphill here. Our swale still has water sitting in it from rain earlier. There's a kind of a little semi-composting area here. I throw my grass clippings and some of the clay that I dig up here and mix it together and make my own potting soil there. Here's some fenced in beds back here. Now these were here when I purchased the house. Actually the previous owner didn't really think too much, because if you can see here, this area does not get nearly enough sun for a garden bed. It stays pretty shaded. I've had marginal luck here. I went in and this year and just put peas in all around the edge. Just pulled back that leaf litter here. Threw peas down. You can see they're growing up all along up the fence line there. I've got some grapes started here, and then along this side of the fence over here, grapes. These beds, I'm trying to put in some perennials here. This is my strawberry propagation area. You know, these strawberries here, you can see already producing some strawberries, but they produce a lot of shoots come off. New little strawberries grow. I take them and transplant them to other areas of the property. And a few little row crops here. I think that's turnip, and then a little row of carrots there. You can see that. Started some asparagus back here. You can see here's my asparagus coming up. This is its second or maybe third year. I should probably start producing off some of these plants next year. Didn't know what to do in this bed this year. I just put in this couple rows of okra seeds on the back here. Put in some mounds where growing some other vining vegetables, watermelons, cucumbers and things. Here, I don't really know if they'll produce. Again, it doesn't really get enough sun. Another problem is water and irrigation. I got this hose here. I can put down some drip lines there, but as you can see, it's a pretty good distance to the house. And I have additional problems. I don't actually have a hose bib on the back of my house, so I have to run all the way around to the front of the house for that. So these are actually the first raised beds I put in after we purchased the property. They're out here in the middle, get plenty of sun. 6 beds. I get maximum solar exposure here, so I usually transplant a lot of the tomatoes and pepper plants here. Something's been getting my peppers over here. You can see here, I thought maybe the rabbits were in here getting them, but I think it's maybe some cutworms or something come in here and cut all the leaves off of my pepper plants. But you can see a lot of random growth of lettuce. Again, I didn't plant any of this. More cilantro there. Some tomato transplants. Got a nice stand of garlic right there. A friend of mine gave me some elephant garlic last summer, and the fall I broke my last piece clove apart and come down and just stuck it in the ground, and well, you know, they grew up real nice. Have some nice big elephant garlic to last probably most of the year there. More peppers and lettuce here. And kind of the last area here, you know, I've got some bushes on the side of the house. That center bush there, that's actually a Nanking cherry. It's doing pretty good. I put that in last year. I don't really know how long it actually takes to start producing cherries, but I imagine maybe next year I'll get cherries. Got one there, and then over here in the front side of the house, and trailer full of mulch there, you can see. And then here's one of my last beds over here. This bed here, again, this is designed to catch water, reduce irrigation. You can see I've got my a drain pipe there, you know, comes out, and this is all down grade from here, and you see it spills out into the yard and flows down grade through here. Before I put this bed in, and the reason I chose this spot is because before this was here, when it was just grass, it was constantly flooded. Water constantly flooded this area here. So I dug it out. Actually dug a pretty good trench there, filled it with some old moldy wood I had from the woods, and then covered it in, brought in some additional dirt, and continued to keep it wood chipped up. It's proving the soil there, not near as clayish. You can see actually how water does collect here in this low spot in the yard, so it seeps into that hole that I cut and that moldy wood and keeps us irrigated. And I've got some, you know, some big oregano here that's grown up, and another big oregano in the center there, and started putting some of my annual squash, and there's another currant over here and currant there, you know. Blueberry looks like we'll have some blueberries this year, and another broccoli that's been terrorized by the rabbits, you know. And this is interesting because, you know, Mom, you use a solar exposure here. I get morning sun comes down here, so this area here is kind of shaded, you know, and then afternoon, you know, it gets plenty of sun in this area. Another raspberry spreading out there. Some cabbage I put in. And that's actually it's not an edible here, just a flowering plant. And then kind of surround this little fence, covered my propane tank. I've got kiwi vines trellising up. You know, I need to put in a more permanent structure, but these are coming in nicely. You see that kiwi vine already getting pretty tall. That's probably a good 9 feet tall, I'm guessing. So, got them more kiwi all around here, male and female, so we'll make sure we get some productive kiwis there. More kiwi plants, kiwi. And that's about the extent of most of the food forest garden area on the property. Hopefully we'll keep working on it, keep improving it. It's getting better. Thanks for watching.